So we are just over a week away from the new season, so it's about time that on this channel we did an Ipswich Town Premier League preview. But I'm not going to be doing it alone. Good morning, afternoon or evening, depending on whenever you are watching this. My name is Harvey Bell, an Ipswich Town supporting content creator on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you do go on to enjoy this video, please do subscribe and leave a like on the video down below. Well, before we go any further with this preview, first, I'm very delighted to introduce the guest on my channel today. It is none other than author Karl Fuller, who has produced books, The Gamechangers, that detail the couple of seasons where Ipswich Town have won back-to-back promotions, as well as Town on the Telly, which is a book that talks about how Ipswich Town have fared whilst on the television. So let's bring Karl in now. Hello, Karl.
Hello, Harvey. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you.
Excellent. So as I say, we're just going to have a little bit of a chat now about what's been going on sort of pre-season. But before we get to that, let's first jump back and talk about the last couple of seasons, because it has been an incredible journey so far. Now, I've never seen Ipswich Town in the Premier League. I know from reading your books that you have. And I think the beauty of the last couple of seasons is the fact that regardless of what generation you've watched Ipswich Town in, whenever you started watching Ipswich Town, nobody has ever seen Ipswich Town do what Ipswich Town have done over the last couple of seasons, and that is achieve back-to-back promotions. I know certainly seeing Ipswich get promoted from League One to the Championship was a dream come true in many ways. To see the club have that success, never predicted that we were going to go on and do it the following season, but we did. It was amazing. How do you reflect on it?
Yeah, you're right, Harvey. It was amazing. I mean, without giving away my age, I was present when we first made it into the Premier League in 1992, and obviously again in 2000. 91-92 season always ranked as my favourite season. Some brilliant games. The year before that, we finished 14th in the old second division when John Lyle was manager, and nobody really saw Town even making the playoffs, probably. And you fast forward all these years, and it took a while to get out of League One, and without a doubt, that was a brilliant season. And then, like 1991-92, nobody probably really saw us challenging for certainly automatic promotion last season. I had us to finish around about mid-table, consolidate and push on this season. So to get promoted again, back-to-back, yeah, it was a dream come true. And I would say these last 2 years have perhaps just about eclipsed 91-92.
Yeah, and obviously the thoughts instantly turn to next season. We want to survive, but there'll be many people sat here now thinking, well, when we've gone up before, we have broken records. Of course, when we went up to the Premier League most recently, we ended up finishing 5th. I still believe that that is the highest ever finish for a newly promoted club. I just wonder what your expectations are going into the next season.
It depends what half you want to look at, really. Cut me in half, and one half I would feel like it's going to be hard, just purely because of the strength of the league now. But the other half of me is we're just on this incredible journey, and there's no reason for it to end now, or you know, on May the 4th when we got promoted after beating Huddersfield. I thought there would be perhaps more outgoings, if I'm honest, but in a way I'm pleased that there hasn't been, because whilst I know that Mark Ashton always says what got us here won't get us there, and that is true, and we've already brought in 6 new players to push us on to the next level, we do need, and we did need to keep a lot of what has got us here, the camaraderie, the team spirit, the togetherness. I mean, it's crazy to think that come the Liverpool game, there could be 5 or 6 players starting that were in League One, and nobody would dream of saying that we would, you know, when we were in League One, that these players will be playing against Liverpool on the first day of the season in a couple of years. So, look, it will be hard, without a doubt, but there's, like I say, there's no reason why we can't just keep on this crest of a wave. And the Premier League will be split into 3 leagues like it normally is, and no doubt we'll be really just trying our best to keep in the top of the bottom 6 to 8 teams to avoid relegation. I can't see it being like it was back in 2000, 2001 and finishing 5th. But yeah, let's just enjoy the ride and see where it takes us.
Absolutely. And you talk there about like players that were in League One now playing for us in the Premier League. And I'm very much in agreement that you should be giving opportunities to those players that have got us here. Of course, some players do have to move on. Caden Jackson, Don Ball, Václav Hladký, amongst a number of those players that have this season. We've had Liam Delap, Ben Johnson, Amari Hutchinson, Aro Muric. We've had players like that coming in. What do you make of the transfer business so far?
Yeah, I think it's been decent. I mean, people will question why we haven't brought in any Premier League experienced players other than Ben Johnson. There's still plenty of time to go. People say, well, there's less than 2 weeks to the start of the season. But let's face it, it don't really matter who we've got in that first 11 on the first day of the season, and indeed the week after. Whoever's fit, whoever's playing, we'll do very well to get anything out of Liverpool and Manchester City. So I'm not saying write the games off. I'm not really saying they're free hits, but they're going to be very difficult. And it's when we start moving on to the likes of Fulham, Brighton, Southampton in the next 3 games where we've really got to try and, make our mark, get some points in the bag. And then you're starting to get towards the end of the transfer window. We've got 6 in so far. There's every opportunity that there'll be 1 or 2 coming before the Liverpool game at least, and then 2 or 3 more by the end of the window. So the signings we've got, Jacob Greaves, I think will do very well in defence. The goalkeeper looks exciting, doesn't he?
Does.
he might have our hearts racing a little bit if he's out playing centre midfield.
We're used to it from Václav Hladký.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. I once labelled in my East Anglian Daily Times column that I write every week, I labelled him as not being a goalkeeper. I just said he's a baller who's allowed to use his hands. So will Muric be the same? Who knows? Let's wait and see. I've got a few. I live in Clacton-on-Sea, so I've got a few West Ham fans. It's all West Ham or Ipswich really here in Clacton, and every one of them has been glowing about Ben Johnson. So high hopes for him. Liam Delap, he's going to have to, by the looks of it, step into George Hurst's shoes to begin with. He looks like he can put himself about without a doubt in the games I've seen against the German sides. So, yeah, I'm pleased with what we've got in so far. Maybe we do need 1 or 2 experienced Premier League players, but they're not easy to pick up.
No, they're not. But I think perhaps the biggest thing going for us is, of course, Kieran McKenna, because we have brought those players in. But as we've spoken about, a lot of the players are going to be players that we've had here for a couple of years. And he showed that in the Championship, he was able to develop them, help them make that step up. And I certainly come into it thinking, quite optimistically that there's no reason that we can't do that again. That said, of course, I'm very much in agreement with you in the sense that a couple of more signings would be nice. And I think the wider feeling amongst the fan base is definitely that we do need some more Premier League experience in there. So it is going to be exciting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks as the transfer window sort of comes to an end. But one thing that we can't sort of go back on now is what's happened in pre-season. Now, at the time of recording, we've still got Nice to come this Saturday, but let's just reflect for a moment on what's happened in pre-season so far. Now, we started our pre-season with behind closed doors friendly against Reading. We don't know the result of that. We then beat Shakhtar Donetsk 1-0, lost at Portman Road, and then obviously last week we were supposed to play Borussia Mönchengladbach. That then got turned to a game for the under-21s because we didn't have that squad depth. And then we go on to beat Hoffenheim 1-0 the next day, which is obviously a very big test because they're a team that are going to be playing Europa League football this year, 7th in the Bundesliga last year. So a real good opportunity for our players to get involved. And a mixed bag of results, but certainly I look at it like pre-season results don't necessarily matter, but certainly a good opportunity for the players that got in early to have a really good sort of bedding in process under Kieran McKenna and sort of integrate with the squad. But I wonder what your sort of thoughts are on what pre-season has been like.
Yeah, I think it's been really good. And you rewind a year ago when we won the Innsbruck Cup, and along the way we played Werder Bremen, RB Leipzig, picked up some really good results. And look, I know pre-season isn't about results. When we lose, we say, yeah, but it's not about the results. It's about the gelling and the fitness. And when we win, it's a nice little fillip. I want us to win every game. I don't care whether it's pre-season friendly or, a game to get promoted. And again, beating Hoffenheim, that will give the lads a little boost, that they can perform against higher level teams and come out with a victory. We deserved the victory. I didn't see the game at Portman Road, the Fortuna Dusseldorf game. I was away on holiday, so I didn't actually see that one. But from what I read, our pressing wasn't its usual self. But again, that's what pre-season's about. It's about building yourself up ready for the start. And, as each week goes by, we're obviously that bit more prepared and a bit more gelling with the new players. As you alluded to, Kieran McKenna is a great manager, what he's done for us and what he'll continue to do for us. So very important time. I guess the only downside is you do want your players in as soon as you can because of gelling them together. We've been able to do that with 6. And if another 6 came in, let's say by the end of August, those remaining 6 won't have gelled. But plenty of time, obviously, for that to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it is interesting because if you'd asked me a couple of weeks ago when we had already got five through the door before Connor Townsend come in, I would have said that we were pretty much almost there, maybe bar for a centre midfielder and another left winger. But you look at the injuries that start to build up and all of a sudden it does look like we are looking light in areas. And it is a little bit worrying, but ultimately what's going to matter is how we approach these games with the players that we've got. And we know when Kieran McKenna first came into the club that we did play a more defensive style. I remember us playing with a back 3. I remember that we ended up breaking the record for consecutive clean sheets in the league for our club. So that was very good. We then obviously last year pretty much stuck with a 4-2-3-1 entirely, albeit very fluid, different players in different roles. I wonder how we're going to approach this season because we are going to be coming up obviously against better quality than we ever have done in the Championship and League One. Are we going to be bold? Are we going to be brave? Or are we going to sort of try and sit back a little bit and realise that we are making a huge step up and maybe should sort of be a bit more cautious?
Yeah, I can't see him deviating too much away from the 4-2-3-1 that worked so well last year. But we've seen so far in pre-season Jack Taylor playing out on the left when he's more of a central player, which suggests that, yes, with the injury to Nathan Broadhead, very light in that area. It's a needs must. But again, it is an example of Kieran McKenna being able to utilise players in more than one position. We've seen Amari Hutchinson, for example, play out wide and also through the centre. But I would be surprised if he did deviate away from that too much. I mean, you look at the centre-back area, we're very strong there. Would there ever be a case of playing 3 at the back with a couple of wing-backs on the odd occasion? It could happen, but I think he's got this tried and tested system, and the only thing that I can really think now that would fluctuate within that would be the personnel.
I very much think that because we have got so many good defenders. I mean, we've just had Elkan Baggett go on loan, and I think very much he's a victim of the club's success in many ways because he might have been on the periphery thinking that if we were still in League One or the Championship, he could break in. But there's so much quality in that defence that we do have the option to sort of change formation if we needed to. It's just up front that we are lacking a little bit at the minute and would probably look to bring people in. But sort of regardless of, the players that we have, the season kicks off next week. It's when it's going to start to matter. Liverpool at home to kick off what is going to be a very exciting season. Now, I've got a video coming out next week that goes into the Liverpool game a lot deeper, but what are your initial feelings ahead of that?
Yeah, excitement. Look, when we're football fans, we naturally get nervous. We naturally worry about our chances. We don't want to be coming out of the ground on the back of a heavy defeat, ruining our weekend, or on the back of any defeat. It's a real precarious hobby as being a football fan because it's such an emotional pastime and very emotive, and it does define your weekend, your week, and your life. But the position that Ipswich are in is one that's really unexpected, and as I said a little while ago, don't sort of look at it as free hits and don't look at it as one that will struggle, etc. But what I will say is I never worry about what I can't control, and that's something that's naturally occurred as I've got older. So I can't control what will happen against Liverpool. Yes, if we lose 5-6-0, it will be a horrible feeling. If we lose 1-2, 3-0, it would be a little bit of a come down, a bit disappointing, but not totally unexpected. So I'm really excited by the occasion. My first ever Ipswich game, 22nd of August 1978, home to Liverpool.
Oh,
And this
wow.
game's and this game's 17th of August 2024. So it's almost 46 years to the day that my first game happened against the same team. On that occasion, we lost 3-0. For older viewers, they'll remember it was Arnold Muren's debut. So yeah, look, I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm not going to say expect the worst and hope for the best, because that's too negative, and I'm never negative these days. So excited and just really going to enjoy the occasion and think, why can't we nick a point? It's a good time. If there is a good time to play Liverpool, this could be it. New manager, players just coming back from the Euros. It takes me back to the first home game of the 2000 season when we got promoted. We played Manchester United and probably feared the worst, and we got a cracking 1-1 draw with them. So nobody really expected that, I guess. So yeah, let's just get there, make a lot of noise, and enjoy the occasion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would echo that as well. It is just going to be an exciting occasion. It's going to be a brilliant season, regardless of what happens. That's not trying to be negative, trying to say that we are going to get battered week in, week out, because I don't think that will happen. I'm quite confident going into the new season. I don't think there's any reason to sort of fear the new season. We've got a young, hungry squad, a team that has overperformed, especially last season, a manager that's done particularly well. So I think there's only cause to be excited. But as we've spoken about, it has been a very exciting couple of seasons. If only somebody wrote a book about them. Just talk to us a little bit about how great it is that you've been able to sort of document the last couple of seasons in a book, the sort of success of the books, because I've read them both. Very, very enjoyable. The Gamechangers, obviously, Town on the Telly was a massive success as well. How has this journey been for you?
Oh, it's been amazing. I mean, I've written my column for 12 years now, and I guess along that journey, I always wanted to write a book, but never really knew what to write about. There had to be a subject. It couldn't just be, my life of watching Ipswich, because as great as that is, we've all got our own stories of watching Ipswich over a period of years. And then I don't know, it just struck me one night. I think when we lost to Barrow in the FA Cup, I thought, crikey, this is terrible. We're awful on TV. I really need to find out if we are that bad. And then I started thinking about my memories of being at the games, watching those live games on TV, and then the games that I wasn't at but watching them. And I don't know, an idea, a light bulb just flashed in my mind. Why don't I write about the live games? 171 live games at the time. And yeah, and I felt I've actually written a book, and here she is. So to write a book about the club that I love and what is basically a massive part of my life was just brilliant. And the idea was really just to stop there and maybe bring out a second edition of Town on the Telly in, well, if it's another 171 games, I'd be in my 90s, because that was over 40 odd years. But who knows, with the Premier League and us being live more. I mean, last year was our record year from the number of live games on TV. It could come out quicker. But then we got promoted from League One, and I had a lot of material in the bank from writing my columns, and I thought I could just really put all this together, add some more thoughts, along the way, and create what was the Gamechangers. And I thought, again, that would be it, 2 books, and there have been no other opportunity to write anything else. And I wrote that at the end of the season, but I kind of wrote that in about 4 weeks, I guess, that book. And it really was a bit chaotic. And then last year, I don't know what made me think it, but after we won at Sunderland, then went at home to Stoke, and then won at QPR, I thought, what if we got promoted again? I should write another book, really. But don't leave it till the close season. Write it as the season goes along, because you can add it, more fresh at the time. So the Gamechangers Premier Edition, that came out, and look, I've been really lucky, because when you write a column, and when your name is just out there a little bit, minutely as it is in my case, you do get a bit of online abuse. You get a few trolls, and you get people who think that you're what's the word? They just think that you're a waste of space, and what you say is rubbish. But I've sat here now and I've written 3 books, and the feedback that I get has just been so good and so kind, and the numbers that I've sold, I never dreamt I'd sell the numbers that I've sold. Town and the Telly was in the club shop because it went for a publisher, and the other 2 are self-published, and I couldn't get in the shop. But if they were in the shop, they'd be really, popular. And who knows, that we can't get promoted next season, so there won't be a promotion book next season. Well, this coming season, obviously. So,
Gamechanger Champions League edition. That's what I'm hoping for.
You're dead right. If this one, the latest one's a Premier Edition, the next one could be the European Edition.
It could be. That'd be brilliant. But yeah, no, as I say, I mean, you say about the trolls there, but I've read both the Gamechanger books. I'll admit I haven't read Town on the Telly yet, but my granddad has. My granddad's read both the Gamechangers as well. I've got those books for him for Christmas the last 2 years. He's a massive fan of them. I'm a massive fan of them. So no, they've been really good to read, and as good as they've been to read, it's been that good to have you on the channel as well today. I really appreciate your time coming on to talk about the Premier League season. It's all very exciting. So fingers crossed for the upcoming campaign, and good luck as you can hopefully continue to write these books for us Ipswich fans to enjoy.
Yeah, thank you, Harvey. And yeah, again, my message is just enjoy the season. We've got a lot of younger fans, who are in their 16, 17, late teens, who are probably just coming to Ipswich now on their own with their mates. They've had a really good, lucky 2 years, including my daughter, actually. And I've said it's not always like this. So, you've got to be a bit prepared for not so many wins, but you can still enjoy it, still enjoy the season. And like I say, don't worry about what you can't control. We owe it to Kieran McKenna, the players, and the club as a whole. We owe it to them to get right behind them. And I know 99% of fans will. We'll get behind them. We'll give them our full support. And let's just see where it takes us.
Absolutely. I very much agree. So, Karl, thank you for coming on. And to everyone that's watched, thank you very much. And I guess we'll wrap it up there. And I'll see you all in the next video.